So let's look at some important risks that we need to know about and some important facts. There are 3 types of skin cancer. We have basal cell carcinoma, and that is aggressive locally, so that if you get it in a certain spot on your face, it will cause local damage, but it's not deadly for the most part. Squamous cell carcinoma can be very aggressive locally, but can also spread and cause death if it's not caught at an early enough age. Luckily, the time from these 2 cancers forming to the time that you have before they cause a lot of damage is a little bit greater than the 3rd type, which is melanoma. And this is probably the most deadly cancer out there. It's deadly because in a relatively short period of time, it can easily spread. If we catch it early, it's very treatable. If we let it go, it's highly fatal, and we'll cover some of that. But if we look at the audience here, 1 out of 5 of us is going to have skin cancer at some point in their life. If we look at Americans in general, about 40% to 50% who are age 65 or higher will have skin cancer, at least basal cell or squamous cell carcinoma, at least once in their life. If we look at the melanoma risk, it's 1 in 40 or 1 in 50. Well, we all know more than 40 or 50 people. So at some point in our lifetime, we are going to know somebody who's going to develop melanoma. And this is why we're here to talk about this today, because this is where we can actually save lives rather than just talk about the appearance of the skin as well. What will increase our risk of melanoma? We know that despite what everybody knows, I mean, it's just like smoking. Everybody knows smoking is bad for you. Yeah, I've never seen so many smokers in my life, especially when I go to the medical center. They're all outside smoking at the entrance. And the same thing with tanning of the skin and sun damage. We know that tanning is bad, but until I moved to Pittsburgh, I've never seen so many people who own their own home tanning beds. I've never seen so many teenagers go to the tanning salons, and I've never seen so many people in the dead of winter who are so tan because we have to escape to go somewhere to get some sun to get away from the dreariness. So with that, melanoma is on the rise, and we're seeing about 68,000 new cases in 1 year, and of those patients that are all out there total with melanoma, about almost 9,000 deaths per year, and that's a shame. Anyone can get melanoma. White, black, Asian skin, Indian skin, anybody can get melanoma. But it's more prevalent among lighter skinned individuals and among patients who, it tends to appear in areas where we have heavy sun exposure, such as the back on men, the back of the leg on women, places that aren't necessarily protected very well. We do know that ultraviolet rays are implicated, but there are going to be some people who just have a genetic tendency towards it. But for the most part, we also have to make sure that those patients are monitored differently, but anyone who just has a lot of sun damage will increase their risk. But sunburns increase the risk of melanoma, and I'm going to give you some numbers on that. Indoor tanning beds increase your risk of melanoma, and then we talked about the genetic link. Well, let's look at some facts. If you look at young patients in general, this is probably one of the 2nd or 3rd most common cancer among younger patients. If you look at it in general, over all cancers, it's increasing at a faster rate than 7 of the most common cancers. We have 1 death per hour practically in the US from melanoma. And if you look at women under the age of 39, their only other risk to them that's greater than melanoma is the risk of breast cancer. Okay, so we really have to watch ourselves carefully. So it's not all bleak. We're going to talk about this in a little bit more detail shortly, but if you catch melanoma early, you can cure 99% of it. If you allow it to spread or to become thicker or wider, then the survival rate can fall down to 15%.